morning. The economy, health infrastructure, jobs. How do you revive an ailing economy after lockdown? Union Budget 2021. Will this be a budget seen once in 100 years? Will the growth trajectory move as expected? Will you, the common man, get some relief? Hours from now, Nirmala Sitharaman will present the first budget post the outbreak of the pandemic. Will an Atmanirbhar push help all the failing systems? You're watching CNN News 18. I am Ridhima Bhatnagar.
What does the budget mean for the investor, consumer, taxpayer, economy? Don't miss Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Go through the fine print with Network 18 Editor-in-Chief Rahul Joshi. The FM interview, live and exclusive, today.
All eyes are on today's Parliament session as Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is all set to unveil this year's Union Budget. Today's proceedings will be unique in many regards. It will be the first budget amid COVID pandemic and will be completely paperless. The Union Cabinet will meet at 10:15 a.m. in the Parliament to pass the budget, and the Finance Minister will then present the budget at around 11 a.m. on the floor of the House. The government is expected to announce a slew of income tax SOPs and renew its focus on strengthening its flagship Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme. Let me go across to our colleagues who will be getting us all these updates right through the day. Let me start with our senior editor Pallavi Ghosh, who's joining us from the Parliament, from outside Parliament. Pallavi, good morning. It's going to be a very, very important, crucial day as well. Just take us through what time are we expecting the proceedings to begin, because there are a lot of protocols as well before the budget is presented. You take it to the President, the Cabinet approves it. Just help us understand, when do we expect all of this to kick off?
Well, the budget, of course, is always very important, and especially a budget which is in the COVID times, which actually throws up a lot of expectations, also and also to be very, very practical. So that's going to be a big challenge really for Nirmala Sitharaman. Well, just to take you through the modalities, she's going to leave her residence shortly before 9 o'clock. She goes to North Block, which is the Finance Ministry, and that's where the final touches are actually given. I mean, they've already been given, but that's just a formality. She's also expected to go to a Rashtrapati because that's also another part of her protocol. And then, of course, she heads for Parliament. There's going to be a photo opportunity on the steps of the Parliament. And then the Union Cabinet meets at 10:15, which again is a technical formality because the Cabinet now endorses the budget, which is going to be presented at around 11 a.m. today.
Right, Pallavi, and this is going to be all paperless this time. It's going to be digital. So is there going to be any difference in terms of the presentation of the budget? Because this is going to be very, very unique. We've never seen something like this.
Yeah, but Ridhima, there's not going to be any difference in procedure because, you know, she's going to be doing it on the floor of the House. That's the way it's done. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and the entire Council of Ministers, of course, going to be there. It runs up to 1.5 hours. We've been noticing as far as this government goes, that budget, of course, gets shorter and shorter. Just the main points are the one which she reads out. And yes, it's going to be a paperless budget, keeping in time the COVID time. There is going to be an app which is going to be there, which is essentially where you're going to get the copies of the budget. Unlike previous times where the members of Parliament were given hard copies. And just very, very quickly, this is going to be a unique budget, not only in terms of being paperless, but as I'm repeatedly pointing out, a COVID time. So how do you balance it? How do you give those jabs as well as the jobs? How do you ensure that the economy is green shooting, which she's been talking about, is actually going to be there very much on paper?
Absolutely. Pallavi, stay on with us. Sagar also now joining us from outside Anurag Thakur's residence. Sagar, good morning. What is the mood like outside the MS Finance residence? What time are we expecting him to leave his residence?
Well, he's expected to leave from his residence at around 8, between 8 to 8:30. He's going to be accompanying our finance minister because he's, of course, the Minister of State Finance of the country. So he's going to be present in all the critical meetings that our senior editor Pallavi was also pointing out. He's going to head towards the North Coast directly, and there can be a change in the schedule. He might arrive at Finance Minister residence and then accompany her till North Block, or there even a possibility that he may head directly to the North Block. That's where the finance or the budget team, so to speak, that Anurag Thakur himself had tweeted yesterday, will be meeting, and then the entire budget team will then be heading to the Parliament. So these are the updates that we are picking up. He is going to leave at his residence, from his residence, between 8 to 8:30.
Right, and let me go back to Pallavi. Pallavi, as you were rightly pointing out, this is going to be a very, very difficult situation for the government because after the lockdown, when the pandemic started, you saw what happened with the economy. We were officially in recession, but we started seeing, because of the unlock that happened, some sort of green shoots that have come in. So, of course, the challenges are many. Do you continue as far as the math around the fiscal deficit is concerned, or do you spend more this time so that you can get some sort of liquidity back in the system? It's not going to be an easy budget, and that's why probably it's not going to be easy to please everyone as well.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, she had, when she was addressing the CII and the FICCI, said that this is going to be a budget like never before. And what she essentially was meaning is that, in COVID times, it becomes very difficult for the government to meet up with the expectations of the people. And the biggest challenge really is of job generation. Yes, the corporate sector is also very, very apprehensive about spending more. They obviously would want more tax concessions. They're also being told that they would be given incentives if they go in for Atmanirbhar, cut down on your import bills, go more and more for your own indigenous inputs as well. So what we are picking up is that those corporate sector, those companies which actually pick up on and push for skill in India or Atmanirbharta are the ones who are going to perhaps stand to benefit. Tax concessions, which the corporate sector is looking at, but the middle class also is equally looking at it. At the end of the day, what the government needs is that people need to go out and spend more. And that's the reason why we have the unlockdown in process. The whole purpose is that people go out to the markets. You're trying to give more money, for example, advance against the Provident Fund.
Yeah.
All of these stimulus packages, which have been repeatedly announced by the government over the last few weeks. And now the government has to put it all together in the budget. How much can she do? Because there's also no denying the fact that as far as the earnings of the government, to put it very simply, is concerned, that too has also fallen down naturally because of the COVID concerns.
Yeah, absolutely, Pallavi. So as I said, it's not going to be a very, very easy